welcome to episode 321 of Cinematary. I'm your host, Zach Dennis, and I'm here with
Ash Baker.
And today we are joined by two special guests who are going to educate Ash and I on Hocus Pocus, Grace Winburn and Nia Rincon. Nia, Grace, thank you so much for joining us.
Thanks for having
Thank you so much for having us.
It'll be good because as we established before we started recording, both Ash and I watched Hocus Pocus for the very first time ever for this episode, and so it's good that we'll have two Hocus Pocus scholars on, and then we can just be the idiot plebeians when it comes to magical knowledge.
Awesome.
Yes.
Well, as always, in part one, we're going to be talking about movies that we saw this week. And in part two, like I mentioned, we'll be talking about 1993's Hocus Pocus as part of our Horror for Kids series. Real quickly, head over to cinematary.com. We have a brand new review. Jessica talked about it last week, but her review of Possessor, the new Brandon Cronenberg movie, is online. We also have Ash's review of The Boys in the Band, which, yay or nay, Ash, would you recommend it?
If you want to, oh man, you can't ask me that.
It's a thumbs up or thumbs down.
If this were 1970, thumbs up.
This podcast isn't 2020, Ash. We'll do a thumb sideways. We'll do one of those things.
Sure.
But if you're like, what is Ash talking about? Do they have something against the Boys in the Band? I don't know. Let's read the review on cinematary.com. It's a perfect promo. Good job. So we have that on the website if you'd like to check it out. But let's go ahead and jump into movies that we saw this week. And I'm going to kick us off with I got two new releases, both available on Netflix. The very first one is called Dick Johnson is Dead. It's the latest film from Kirsten Johnson, who is a longtime documentary cinematographer. She's shot a number of documentaries over her career. This is her second film that she's done. Her first one, Camera Person, is a high recommend. It came out, I want to say 2 or 3 years ago. It's available on the Criterion Channel, and is this collection of kind of B-roll off footage from her various documentary career. It's a good one. So check that one out. Dick Johnson is Dead, though, is about her 86-year-old father, who she decides to create this film as kind of like a celebration of his life and kind of the last years of his life, as a way to kind of memorialize him and remember him in a way that she would like to, rather than kind of the way she talks a lot about her mother, who died of Alzheimer's, and how she didn't have much footage, any recorded footage of her. She had photos and stuff, but in terms of recordings of her, especially as a filmmaker, she just didn't really have anything except for this one sequence that you see during the film where it's kind of the Alzheimer's is kind of set in, and she doesn't really remember Kirsten much at all, and so she decides to do this to kind of memorialize her father, give him just this this kind of chaotic fantasy movie making whole memorial, and it's a super sweet movie. It's one that I think the premise of it, where you're just like, yeah, she's creating this thing to before her father dies, is a little bit morbid, but there's something really touching about the way she handles it. I mean, she's a very generous, very it seems like a very caring filmmaker, and it comes across in that, where she's really exploring the nature of filmmaking, and how it really is this vehicle, this this tool to capture memories in a way unlike anything else. You can write about somebody, you can take a picture of somebody, but to be able to film somebody or record somebody especially in the way that she does. You know, I mean, for the most part, it's a typical documentary. You have her kind of talking with her dad or following her dad around and just kind of interacting with her family in that way. But then you also have like these fantasy sequences where, you know, he's like a part of this large dance number, or they have like these extravagant sequences that seem like it's, you know, cut like right out of like a 1920s 1930s musical, that are just like flushed with color. Ironically enough, it kind of reminds me of like the which are vastly different documentaries, but the Act of Killing by Joshua Oppenheimer, which has those like really flush, lively sequences where they're like recounting the whole acts of that movie, but it's kind of like that, where you just have like these like hyper realized segments where there's like this, you know, there's all this color and all this lighting, and he's like reacting in this very like just kind of just crazy way. And so overall, it's just this really touching piece of filmmaking. And it, at least for me, I was thinking a lot about how movies, and especially documentaries, are just able to capture people and really kind of bottle up the energy of like that period of their life. And you know, have this thing that you can watch whenever. And so even if, you know, her father dies, you're able to experience him in all the liveliness that he had through movies. And so it's kind of a nice also little testament to the power of movie making. So I would recommend it. It's really worth your time, and it is available on Netflix. The other one in terms of like wholesome Netflix content is Hubie Halloween, or if the proper name is Hubert Hallows Eve, but you know, we'll go with Hubie Halloween for now. It's the latest Adam Sandler movie on Netflix. It features most of the you know, the typical players, but this one has Adam Sandler. He plays Hubie Dubois, who lives in Salem, Massachusetts, which is really just being featured heavily in this episode, I guess. Because I don't think you can have anything Halloween related that's not, you know, based in Salem, Massachusetts.
Of course.
But
I agree.
That seems to be like the rule. And so Hubie is super into Halloween. Like he likes to make sure everybody's having a good time, that they're not getting in trouble, that they're not going overboard. But, you know, something fishy's happening in Salem this Halloween, and so he has to go investigate it. Yeah, you know, that's about it. You kind of, I'll say with this, I don't know, maybe I've turned a corner with Adam Sandler. Maybe Uncut Gems. I'm just one of those people that Uncut Gems just did something where I just turned a corner with him. But this one, I feel like, especially compared to a lot of his recent stuff, like I'm not a giant. I really just can't do like the Western one that he did on Netflix, or the grown-up movies, or
Murder Mystery.
Yeah, like that. But some of those, I can't hang with it. But this one's is a lot more tame. It's really it really just has this kind of genuine spirit to it. It's very much. I saw somebody on Letterboxd who was like, yeah, it's a movie that instead of, and this is a good way of describing it, instead of being built on bits, it's built on gags. It's very like old school in that fashion. It's built on, there's like this running gag throughout the entire movie where whenever Hubie's like riding his bike through town, people just start launching stuff at him. And so like he's riding his bike and you see stuff just like being thrown at his head, and Adam Sandler's like ducking everything, and it's super silly and super stupid, but it happens every time he rides his bike. And so by like the fifth time, it's kind of like, oh yeah, it's everybody's throwing it at Hubie, you know. And it also just, the thing that really works with this movie is that it really just sets up like this really pleasant world. Like you have just these, I mean, it's this silly, absurd Adam Sandler universe characters. I mean, Kevin James is here just kind of doing his thing. Steve Buscemi shows up and thinks he's a werewolf, which is very entertaining. Rob Schneider appears for a little while. Ray Liotta shows up in like this role where all he does is insults Adam Sandler's character. Yeah, it's super strange. But the sweetest thing is that Julie Bowen, who was the love interest for Adam Sandler in Happy Gilmore. She plays his love interest in this, and it's just like the most pure, like sweetest little love thing going on, little romance. I really liked it. I like if you're looking for something fun to watch on a nice like evening, and I would recommend Hubie Halloween. It's a solid little flick. I really liked it. It's honestly, I would rewatch it. It's a good little flick. If I would watch it again if somebody's like, yeah, I'm watching Hubert Hallows Eve. I'd be like, yeah, I'm checking in on that. That sounds fun as hell. So, Hubie Halloween. It's on Netflix. High recommend. Ash, I'm going to toss it over to you because you have to update the people on the very important issue that is Ash watches Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, the people need to know that my Mads Mikkelsen journey is coming right along. I've hit the 20 movie mark. I've finished 20 Mads Mikkelsen's movies since I finished Hannibal. So I'll update you. The best two most recent Mads Mikkelsen movies I saw were the second Pusher movie, Pusher 2, in the Pusher trilogy, is directed by, it's 2004, and I butcher this guy's name always, but Nicholas Winding Refn?
You got it.
However the hell you say his name. It's one of his earlier Danish movies, and it stars Mads Mikkelsen as like this, he's like in a crime family, and he gets released from prison, and he's like the total like fuck up of his family, and his dad is just like hesitant to like give him a job because he's just like a big himbo, and so, like, throughout this entire movie, he's just trying to basically, like, prove himself. And honestly, low-key better than The Godfather.
Big facts here. Whoa.
That is a recommendation.
Then, another most amazing Mads Mikkelsen movie I saw recently was another Danish movie called A Royal Affair. The director's name is Nicolaj Arcel, which is crazy. But it stars, so it's about this crazy thing in Danish history that I had no idea about, because why would I know Danish history? But it's about in 18th century Denmark. The queen, who's played by Alicia Vikander, like starts having an affair with the king's doctor, who's like a he's like a Enlightenment guy, and
is that
Denmark's
Mads Mikkelsen?
like. Yeah.
Okay,
So the doctors.
You didn't have to say it was a doctor. You say it was Mads Mikkelsen. Like, we got it.
Yeah. So the doctor's played by Mads Mikkelsen.
I would have an affair.
And so Denmark's like ruled by these crazy like, it's like all basically run by these strict like Puritan rules, and it's all like all the laws are made based on these like, basically like fascist Christian rules, and there's like censorship laws and stuff. So Mads Mikkelsen is like this doctor, but he's like an Enlightenment thinker, and so he starts fucking the queen, and then together they get their they get the king, who's like not got all of his screws in right, to like pass all these Enlightenment laws, and it's fucking nuts. Would recommend.
So I'm just gonna. I just want to point out that
That sounds good.
I hope we receive angry mail, because there's just gonna be like a group of dudes listening to this, and they're just like, first off, better than The Godfather? Are you serious?
Okay, so like, I don't know if it's okay. It's not better than The Godfather,
honestly,
but
just own it. Just own it. No, that's fine. I'm just saying, like, they can suck it. It's fine.
Yes.
No, I'm in
like
your camp.
whatever. it's like
You said what you said.
I said what I said,
Yeah.
you know, but it's like the thing about Pusher 2 is it okay, so here's my letterboxd review of Pusher 2. We're bringing out
Think
my
about it.
letterboxd review. In this
Tell
movie,
us about it.
Pusher 2, in this movie you will see the fattest joint you have ever seen, Mads Mikkelsen's dick,
Oh,
a man who refers to himself in the third person as the cunt, a woman's entire vagina, and a sleeping baby in a duffel bag. This is the craziest movie I have ever seen.
Godfather wishes.
Yeah,
It wishes.
could never.
Godfather could never.
Does not have the range.
The Godfather doesn't have any of that stuff.
Coppola doesn't
He
have
doesn't.
Oh my god! All right, no, that's how I recommend. I forgot to mention one thing. I just to take it back to Hubie Halloween. This was just for Ash, but my letterbox review for Hubie Halloween was Hubie Himbo, because Hubie Dubois, strong himbo status. I'll just say that.
Yes.
So that's another.
We love a
I'm
good
all
himbo.
for it.
That's just if that propels the recommendation. There you go.
Oh, it certainly does.
All right. Well, it looks like Nia, you had a couple movies. One of them we talked about
Yeah.
recently, a Netflix film, but I'll be curious to hear your thoughts on them.
Okay, so I'm going to start off both Netflix films. The first one was I'm Thinking of Ending Things, and I saw that pretty much a few weeks after it came out, unfortunately. But okay, so it's about
I still have not seen it yet. I'm gonna plug my ears while you talk
I won't
because I still really want to see it.
I won't spoil it. I won't.
I know you won't.
There's not. I mean, I guess there is an element of spoiler with
You
it, just
you
considering.
you do such a good job. You just
What?
say it. I love listening to you talk.
Okay, so this movie is obviously directed by and written by our dog Charlie Kaufman. It's another Kaufman joint. It is about this. Oh, it's like very hard to describe. So it's about this woman and this man, and they are going to meet his parents for the first time. And she's seemingly not really that into him, and has lots of inner monologue throughout the entire thing. But things kind of stop lining up whenever she gets to the in-laws' house, and there's some like kind of unnerving situations and some really uncomfortable moments, and some just everything just feels really off. And as the movie progresses, there is seemingly no point to what's happening. There's it's very cerebral. It's very much like I was sitting there watching it thinking very hard about what I was watching. And truthfully, whenever it ended, I was kind of like, what the fuck was that? Like I, I was like, I don't get it per se. And then I saw that it was based on the book I'm Thinking of Ending Things of the same name. And when I found out what the book was about, I looked at the movie in a new lens and felt that it was really, really well done. So my opinion kind of flip-flops super hard because it's very hard to convey. It's hard to talk about it without spoiling what it's about.
Well, I guess so. It seemed like you liked it. So what? Like in terms of what, I guess we spoiled it in the last time we talked about it.
It's fine. You guys can totally do it. Like I'm a big girl. I can suck it up.
I think almost in a way like knowing what it's about will help you when you're watching it.
It might. So I mean, like, how did the whole like, did you pick up on that it was his story, or like how did that work for you?
Okay, so I literally didn't pick up on it at all. Only when she disappeared at the end, and then it shifted into being his perspective and his like driving the motion of everything. And then at the very, very end, with that huge speech in front of the audience, made up of people in old people makeup, did I realize that it was kind of like a weird, almost like a fever dream. Like this man is dying, and it's not like I knew that there was some connection. Like whenever I first saw the preview, I assumed that it was going to be some kind of weird time nonlinear dilation kind of thing like that. And then whenever it started with the flashes to the janitor, and his kind of day to day events, I was thinking that I knew exactly what it was. And then as everything progressed, and as they had to, and as like I realized that whenever she was thinking in her head, it seemed like he could hear her, and like making like he himself was misremembering things or like changing things around for this person who never existed, um who was an idolized kind of idea of a girlfriend that he wanted to have based on like someone that he thought was really knowledgeable about movies and read Pauline Kael, and you know it was it was above everything else, it was hard. It was a hard one.
It's a movie because I've been thinking about this since I watched it, because I definitely need to watch it again before I kind of like have a firm just opinion on it, because it's a movie that tosses so much at you. Like I don't see how anybody can like make like a firm judgment on it after just like one viewing, because I mean, like you said, like there's so much stuff being tossed at you. And especially once you're kind of unpacking it by the end, you're just like, oh my God, like there was so much stuff that I wasn't clued in on until the very end. And so,
like literally it took it was at least like an hour and a half, 2 hour discussion that I had with my partner after we watched it, going through everything, being like, what the fuck was, like, well, then what was this? And then once we realized the synopsis of the book, going back through those same things and just unpacking everything, um was laborious for sure. But the way that it was handled, I feel like was pretty um visually, like, I love the kind of image of like a desolate snow landscape and wandering around that kind of loneliness in like inside this man's mind, and remembering these different events in his life, and like it's just yeah, I mean there's just so much that happens, and there's so many weird connecting things like the pig, that was really freaky. And then he comes back later and it's like, hey, it's actually, it's all right, it's okay. It happens, it's natural. But it's like a man, it's like basically what I imagine. Like I know that he was writing a story for, or the character had been writing stories or a story in his head, and then at the end it just kind of devolves into this kind of like DMT when you die being released thing that kind of ties it all together. But yeah, but something that I thought was funny with both of these movies that I'm talking about are they have a pretty low user rating and a pretty high Rotten Tomatoes rating.
Yeah,
But
I'm like hit or miss with Kaufman, because, and that's why I kind of want to watch this one again, because there's a lot of the stuff, like a lot of the points that he's making, especially with like the allusions to pop culture, like you mentioned, there's that whole sequence where she's reciting word for word a Pauline Kael review. You have the speech at the end that is verbatim the speech from A Beautiful Mind. It's like, and like the point of it is like that he's working off of these pop culture references to like kind of form his worldview to an extent, and kind of inform like how he's thinking about these things. And I guess on a level I dig that to an extent, but I also feel like Kaufman kind of, and this is just kind of, I think this is what he's wanting to do, but he plays this line where it's not it's not like overly condemning it. It's kind of, you know, leaning into it a little bit to kind of explore it. But like the way that he teeters with it sometimes, I don't always feel like he's necessarily like on top of it as much as he thinks he is. And so I definitely want to I felt like that a lot during his last movie, Anomalisa. Like I just really didn't feel like a lot of the stuff he was trying to like reckon with he necessarily like fully grasped. And I didn't feel that as much with this one, but I also feel like, again, there's so much being tossed at you that it's tough to really like nail down everything,
catch every little thing. Yeah, like every word or like every like meaning from every super long monologue basically that they have. And there definitely was a certain point in the middle where I was kind of like, okay, like I get it, this is a this is a thinker, you know. But yeah, I definitely need to watch it again and reevaluate, because now with knowing what the general vibe of it was, I feel I can go back and really study it in that way and see if it works in that way. But it's interesting because it's
No, I was gonna say we don't have to worry about spoiling it. I feel like Grace is probably like, I don't know what the hell they're talking about.
Yeah, I'm like, what the what is being said right now? What am I listening to? Yeah, I'm like,
The
what does
pig?
that
What the
mean?
fuck is the pig?
Oh, you'll see. But it's
I'm
interesting.
sure, yeah.
It's interesting because it's billed as a thriller horror, which I thought was very interesting. And everyone that I talked to that they're like, "Hey, have you seen this?" Or like, "I'm thinking of watching this." LOL. Were basically like, "Yeah, it's like a horror movie." And I was like, "Okay, yeah, it's a horror movie." And then it was not a horror movie.
Yeah, it's how I felt. Like I said it when we talked about it before, but like the whole dinner sequence with his parents, I'm like, yeah, I mean, you should like hang out with like middle-aged to older white people, and that's what it's like.
Yeah, that's exactly what it's like.
You know.
Oh man.
Go to any church in Southeast Tennessee and you'll experience that. It's the
Yeah, or like have a conversation with your grandpa.
we'll just take people to Wednesday night services at a Baptist church in, you know, like somewhere in Tennessee, and you'll experience that. Yeah, it's a threat. So if you
Is that a threat?
that's the horror comedy of the year, is we take you to a Wednesday night church service in somewhere in Tennessee, and you have to endure white people pretend, you know, being like that. But it's like it's like what they actually are like. It's not even like a character. Just that's what they're like. So.
But one thing I will say, just like the last note on this movie, because it's just so fucking random and hard, but I really, really, really enjoyed the cast. The casting choices I felt were amazing, especially the main actress whose name is escaping me right now. It's Jessie Buckley.
Buckley, yeah.
And Toni Collette and Jesse Plemons and David Thewlis, aka Professor Lupin. But Jessie Buckley, I actually saw a movie that she was in called Wild Rose or something like that. Wild Rose, and it was basically about it was about her, and she was from Dublin or Glasgow. She was from Glasgow, and she wanted to be a country singer very badly. And I'm not going to spoil it, but it was I did not go on my own free will to see this movie, I'll just say. But it was, her acting was so phenomenal. She really the expression in her eyes and the way that she can just capture those very small emotional nuances of the slight I don't know, smarting of your eyes and stuff like that. It was very engaging and very convincing, and I really enjoy this actress, and I'm seeing her break out with that Country Rose, and then now she was in I'm Thinking of Ending Things. I'm just very excited to see where she goes next.
Yeah, I think that the Wild Rose, I think that's on Hulu, and yeah, I saw that as well. It's a sweet movie. I would recommend that if you haven't seen it.
Yeah, it's very sweet.
Cool.
Yeah.
Well,
and I also recommend this one, obviously, but I would recommend being super blazered and watching it at night.
That might confuse. That'll just like throw you off even more. So yeah, just do that.
Yeah, just let go. Just let go and let it take you, basically.
Let go, let God.
You had one other movie though that's on Netflix now that's a little bit spookier, in the whole season.
Yes. So aiming for a horror movie, watched It Comes at Night, which again has a low viewer score and a high Rotten Tomatoes score because it is it God. It's so funny to try to put this into words because I did not hate it. I really didn't hate it. But I think that the movie had a real problem with the way that it was billed as a creature feature, some sort of monster lurking in the woods that comes at night. And then it starts, and this movie was made in 2017, and it's about a post-apocalyptic world where the event was a disease that wiped out
Coronavirus.
It's very much like a survival in the woods kind of story. This dad, Joel Edgerton, is like a very strict survivalist, and his wife and son are with him as well. And it begins because the grandfather has been infected, and so they bring him out into the woods and do that thing in front of the grandson. And it just starts off
as you do.
Yeah, of course. And it starts off brutal, and it doesn't let up for a second. I would say it is a very graphic, very hard. It's also cerebral in a way to where it's not a monster that's in the woods. It's a disease. It's a sickness, and it almost turns back on itself in a way that it's like the real threat is inside in the fear that these people harbor, and like their just desperation to hang on and live and survive. And at a certain point, it's like, how much of your humanity are you willing to risk or sacrifice to continue to live? And the ending was pretty fucking brutal. I'm not gonna spoil anything. It's on Netflix. It's beautifully shot. The woods are amazing. I love those like deep blues and deep greens. But there's just a few tiny things that just like kind of didn't really make sense. Like I'm not asking for my hand to be held when I'm watching something like this, but some kind of like writing indication to just let me know like a little bit like what's going on, instead of having to put the pieces together as best I can before I read the Wikipedia plot summary. You know what I mean? So I would recommend. It's definitely very unnerving, and I'd recommend it. But be aware that it is not a monster movie.
It's not a monster movie.
And like I'm still thinking on what the hell they're talking about. What comes at night? Because there's a lot of shit to unpack there.
So pretty much your recent movie watching is just a bunch of stuff that includes a lot of shit to unpack.
Yeah, which I'm kind of like not too thrilled about, but I am still thinking about them, and I'm talking about them right now. So hey, they won this round.
All I'll say is if you want a relaxer for the third time tonight,
Hubie
Halloween.
I'm thinking I need a palate cleanser.
There's no thinking involved in that one.
Oh, I love it.
It's nice.
Perfect.
It's great.
Nice.
Cool. Nice. Well, that like you said, that one's on Netflix. Before we wrap up part one, Grace, so we don't leave you out, is there anything you would like to talk about?
Thank you. Yes, I have a couple things I'd like to talk about.
Awesome.
First of all, Nia and I, we run a film blog called Divine Cinema, SINEMA Cinema, and we just have a new article out. This one is from me. It's on the most perfect werewolf movie ever to be made. Sorry, American Werewolf in London. It's Ginger Snaps from 2000. It is phenomenal. It's two teen girls against the world. Ginger is attacked by something one night. I won't say what it is, but I mean, maybe you can guess. And she undergoes some changes, not just puberty, but some very serious and scary changes.
I wonder.
It's a lot of fun. You can watch Ginger Snaps on Amazon Prime right now. I think it's just watch with your subscription. You don't have to pay for it. I just wanted to plug that really quick, but
is it like a kind of like a fun spooky movie where it's not like overly scary, or is it like scary?
It's definitely not scary. It is more graphic. Definitely a monster movie. I would say it's not even spooky, and it's not even horror. I would like put it in the same category that you would put something like The Craft or like Jennifer's Body. Like I would group it with those because they're not scary. They're fun and edgy and like, you know, girl power, like GRRRRRL power. It's a lot of fun. I love that movie so much. I just wanted to give a shout to us, sort of explain.
Yeah, I forgot to plug.
Yeah, come on. Like, people listening just think we're two random strangers.
Two random hotties.
Yeah, two random hot bimbos.
Fucking
like,
awesome.
Just here to talk about movies. We are that.
That's what they think of us all here, you know.
We are that. We are exactly
but
that.
Right,
though.
too.
But my two first watches were actually Seven and The Green Room. I'm not really going to talk about Seven because, like, who am I to have, like, thoughts and comments on Seven? What else is there to be said? It was good. It was abrupt. Very abrupt. I feel like I crashed all the way through it. Like, just,
what's in the box?
Like, just put my face like through a window. That's how abrupt it was.
David Fincher.
But it was good. I liked how cramped every shot felt all the way up until the end when they're like out in like the desert or whatever. Like, that was a nice. I'm sure that was deliberate. I'm sure somebody's said so much about that more eloquently than I can. But my other watch was The Green Room, and that was I think that was 2017. That's from A24 as well. Not as well as Seven. Nia, I think you said It Comes at Night is A24. Is that right?
Yes, I believe so.
Yeah, and this one has Anton Yelich, rest in peace. Is it Aaliyah Shawkat? I feel really bad. I can't say her first name. Aaliyah.
I think it's Aaliyah Shawkat. Yeah.
Aaliyah Shawkat and Imogen Poots.
Great name.
Poots. Love it. They're all in it. Aaliyah Shawkat and Anton Yelich are part of a punk band. Do not call them a punk band, though, because that's like don't ask them if they're punk, is what I'm saying. Like, don't ask their band if they're punk. They are, but just don't ask. They get a gig. Listen to me, like I'm in the band. They get a gig at this white supremacist neo-Nazi dive bar.
It happens.
It happens to the best of us. They are promised like $350. Can't really pass that up. So just to like, you know, let everyone in the bar know what they're about. They play Nazi Punks Fuck Off because fuck you, but I'll still take your money. And they see something that they shouldn't have seen, and then they are fighting for their lives to get out of this dive bar.
It's also worth mentioning with this movie that the leader of the neo-Nazis is Patrick Stewart, which is kind of a throw-off.
Sir Patrick Stewart. And he was great in it. I mean, like, what is he gonna do? Be bad in a movie? Forget about it. It'll never happen. He was fantastic.
It's just strange seeing him as a neo-Nazi.
It was. It was also, like, I'm not gonna lie, it was also, so It was really strange. It was strange to see such like a more sinister side from, like, a quietly sinister side from him. He has the range, he has the talent, he can do it. It's just I'm used to seeing him, as Charles Xavier. Like, I'm not gonna put on airs for you guys. I'm used to seeing him in X-Men movies. Like, so it was strange. It was unnerving, and it was a very good movie. We talked through it when I watched it with my friends, which we shouldn't have, because then we had to like go back and like figure out what we missed. But it was very good. I would recommend that if you want to have a movie to talk about. I would not recommend Seven if you want to have a movie to talk about. Again, it's been done to death. Everybody has opinions on it. Go watch The Green Room. That's more fun.
Well, we're going to take a quick break, and then we will be back talking about Hocus Pocus in part 2. Stick around.
Hey, Cemetery listeners, Andrew here. At the midpoint of this week's episode, I want to direct you to some of the non-podcasty things we have to offer. First, if you're a fan of what we do, please consider supporting us on Patreon. For $5 a month, you get 3 things: a shout out at the end of every episode, the opportunity to choose a movie we cover on the show, and our Patreon exclusive podcast, Film Theory and Chill, in which we look at a piece of theory once a month, deconstruct it, and then just chill out, talking about whatever else we have going on. All Patreon support goes solely to paying our writers for their reviews that go up on our website every Monday. Also, at the bottom of Cinematary.com, you can sign up for our free newsletter. Every Sunday, we send out an email with the latest podcast episode, Patreon content, and written reviews. This is perfect for those who want to keep tabs on what's happening, but might be too busy to see the posts when they go up. Before I go, one more quick thing. The easiest thing you can do to support us is to give Cinematary a rating and review on iTunes, Spotify, or wherever you listen to the show. This is quick, free, easy, and we will read your review out on the show once we get it. To recap, consider donating to our Patreon, sign up for the free newsletter, and please give us a rating and review. Thanks for listening. Let's get back to the show.
On you.
Good joke. Happy Halloween. Thanks a lot. No, man, I'm serious.
Yeah.
You got your head. You're not kidding. You had fun. All right. Yeah, cheer up. Let's go, guys.
Hello, sailor. My name's Wilfred. What's yours? I put a spell on you, and now you're gone. My honey fell on you, and it was strong. So strong. Your wretched little life have all been cursed 'cause of all the witches working, and the worst I put a spell on you.
And we're back with part 2 of episode 321 of Cinematary. In this part, we'll be continuing our Horror for Kids series with 1993's Hocus Pocus. Directed by Kenny Ortega from a script by Neil Cuthbert and Mick Garris. The film stars Bette Midler, Sarah Jessica Parker, Kathy Najimy, Omri Katz, and Vanessa Shaw. After moving to Salem, Massachusetts, teenager Max Dennison explores an abandoned house with his sister Danny and their new friend Allison. After dismissing a story Allison tells as superstitious, Max accidentally frees a coven of evil witches who used to live in the house. Now, with the help of a magical cat, the kids must steal the witch's book of spells to stop them from becoming immortal. What a plot line. In the 1994 TV documentary Hocus Pocus Begin the Magic, and on the film's Blu-ray release, producer David Kirchner said he came up with the idea for the film one night. He and his daughter were sitting outside, and his neighbor's black cat strayed by. Kirchner invented a tale of how the cat was once a boy who was changed into a feline 300 years ago by 3 witches. Hocus Pocus started life as a script by Mick Garris that was bought by Walt Disney Pictures in 1984. The film's working title was Disney's Halloween House and was much darker and scarier, and its protagonists were all 12-year-olds. Garris and Kirchner pitched it to Steven Spielberg's Amblin Entertainment, and when Spielberg saw that Disney was involved, he viewed them as a competitor to Amblin in the family film market at the time and refused to co-produce a picture with his, quote, rival. At a D23 panel celebrating the film's 20th anniversary, Kirshner told the crowd that to really sell the idea to Disney, they set the mood by having executives walk into a dark room with witches' brooms and a vacuum cleaner hanging from the ceiling and 15 pounds of candy corn, which sounds like probably most Disney board meetings, if I had to take my guess. Various rewrites were made to the script to make the film more comedic and made two of its young protagonists into teenagers. However, production was stalled several times until 1992 when Bette Midler expressed interest in the script and the project immediately went forward. Midler, who plays the central antagonist of the film, originally written for Cloris Leachman, is quoted as saying that Hocus Pocus, quote, was the most fun I've had in my career up to that point. The infamous Leo DiCaprio was originally offered the lead role of Max, but declined it in order to pursue What's Eating Gilbert Grape. Quote, I don't know where the hell I got the nerve, he told Variety about the decision. You live in an environment where you're influenced by people telling you to make a lot of money and strike while the iron's hot. But if there's one thing I'm very proud of, it's being a young man who is sticking to my guns. Midler told People in 2018 that she hadn't seen the film since its premiere until its recent 25th anniversary, saying, quote, I watched it the other night, the night before the 25th anniversary, because I said, you know what, I better look at this again. So I watched it and I loved it. I thought it was so funny. The first time I watched it, I was only watching myself, but this time I saw everybody. And I tell you, those girls in the back, they were going full blast. They were giving me a run for my money. The kids were great. Everybody was great. On the flip side, Sarah Jessica Parker told Stephen Colbert on The Late Show that she does not remember much about this movie, saying, I don't have a lot of memories. I remember the filming of it. I just don't remember what the movie's about as much. Apparently my character's not very bright, but apparently I fly and sing, and I think I like to suck the life or kill children. I liked making the movie, and I loved flying. You know, it happens. I found this to be a fun fact. Hocus Pocus was the first Disney film ever to use the word virgin. And as I told Ash before the recording, they flew with that because they call this poor, 15-year-old boy a virgin 80 times, it seems like, in this movie. They just really hammer it home with him. The film was not a critical or commercial success upon its release, possibly losing Disney around $16.5 million during its theatrical run. However, largely through annual airings on Disney Channel in Freeform, formerly ABC Family, Hocus Pocus has been rediscovered by audiences, resulting in a yearly spike in home video sales of the film every Halloween season that have helped make it a cult classic. Even this year, in 2020, Hocus Pocus is the top box office film of the year in terms of re-releases, beating both The Empire Strikes Back and the original Jurassic Park. So it's in theaters now if you want to go check it out.
But don't, because there's a pandemic.
There's a pandemic. Do not go to the movie theater. The New York Times in 1993 said, apparently too much Eye of Newt got into the formula for Hocus Pocus, transforming a potentially wicked Bette Midler vehicle into an unholy mess. That's too bad, since Miss Midler's appearance in a role like the one she has here could have been pure witchcraft. The Hollywood Reporter in 1993 said, even when the plot bobs for story apples too long, director Kenny Ortega's nimble narrative choreography propels it along. Hocus Pocus is always fast on its feet, in large part because of the Horia plum of Midler, Parker, and Najimy. And Roger Ebert in 1993 said, watching Hocus Pocus, I had no doubt that the filmmakers had talked their way through the plot to their own satisfaction without stopping to ask if it could be followed by an audience. This is the kind of movie where the characters keep reciting the rules and reminding each other of their supernatural realities, shrieking in alarm while we stare indifferently at the screen. On that note, let's talk a little bit about Hocus Pocus. Like I said at the top, Grace and Nia, you both are Hocus Pocus scholars, or at least you're going to own that title for the next 30 or so minutes. So I'm going to start with the two of y'all. What is your history with the movie, and kind of rewatching it now? How are you approaching it in 2020?
So this is one that I watched all the time on Disney, probably from about like the 4th grade on. So it was a really big part of my childhood. I definitely have nostalgia glasses and I will not take them off. It's too good. It's too comfortable. Feels so right. I love Bette in this. You can really tell that she is just having just a fucking blast. at every second. I had a huge crush on Thackeray Binks as the boy and as the cat.
Yes.
Let me share that. So cute. And then I also had a crush on the singer in the band in his like skeleton makeup.
Yeah.
You know, when he points to that Midler, there's no nicer witch than you. It's like, oh my goodness. So from then on, like if ever we played like Sanderson Sisters, I'm like, I'm Winnie. I get to be Winnie. So I love this movie, everything about this movie. It's so fun. It definitely scared me as a kid. I was terrified of Billy Butcherson. I adore this movie. Watching it now, like I don't even think that I like fully sat down and watched it. I think I was like doing other stuff. I had it on and I'm like vacuuming my floor. I'm like singing along. I'm like doing dishes. I'm singing along, you know, like it's so in me.
Yeah, I definitely pick up on that nostalgia factor. It's not like to me, it's definitely not like a reoccurring childhood type of thing, but I've always known about it. I've always appreciated it. It's like, for me at least, my Halloween movie was always and will always be The Nightmare Before Christmas. And I feel like they are in the same vein of just scary enough for like, these are obviously made for children, you know, so it's like just scary enough to kind of unnerve you, but still silly enough to where you are laughing and singing and having a good time. And it's always just been like a holiday staple. And the something that I thought, I also had always had a crush on Thackeray, but I hate
Honestly,
that his name is Thackeray. As if
not Zachary.
that was some
Shouldn't
kind
it
of
be
What's the
Thackeray?
deal?
Yeah,
Why
I
is his
mean,
name Thackeray?
I don't know what they were trying to go for with some kind of like 1800s pilgrim names, but I mean Zachary is sitting right there, but whatever. And
But then, like, what if they would call him Zach? That feels like, I don't know, like
Thackeray
I just imagine
Binks.
like I just imagine Danny being like Zach instead of Binks, and it's not the same. Like if his name was Zachary, then like the Zach nickname is right there too, right? I don't know.
They could have called him Thack. I don't know.
Yeah,
It's like, it sounds like he has a lisp.
Thack?
You know, they could have worked with it.
Thack.
horrible.
But also, I think that it's so fun that the person that plays Billy Butcherson is Doug Jones, who is
Yes,
literally the fish man in Shape of Water, and then also I'm blanking on the name. I want to say
Abe Sampson or Samian.
Yeah.
Abe Sampson from
Hellboy.
Hellboy.
But then also he plays the
He's like the fawn in Pan's Labyrinth.
the fawn, and then
Yeah.
what's the eyeless guy? The pale guy, pale.
Yeah, the pale man.
Yeah, so I just really adore him and everything. And besides that, Hocus Pocus has just, I mean, it's such a like specifically millennial thing that I feel like it's our generation that grew up on the Disney original movies that I just feel like it really speaks to us. It's like definitely just a surefire like rocket ship ride to your childhood. And I'm never watching it to critique it. You know what I mean? Like I'm just always watching it just for the Halloween spooky vibes.
Yeah, I definitely want to go back to the point, the Disney Channel original movie point, in a little bit, just because of its connections to that. But first, Ash, what did you make of Hocus Pocus watching it for the first time?
You know, I thought it was a good movie. I
thought it was a great movie.
So like I watched it like pretty stoned, and I had to like take notes to kind of follow what was going on a little bit.
I just imagine you like with a notepad, like they
Virgin.
got hung, now they're
Virgin.
back.
I did pick
Virgin
up on
kid.
that they were telling me he was a virgin a lot, but like I just like looking through my notes, there's just so much funny stuff in this movie. Like, it's a very funny movie. I do remember, like,
It's goofy.
like, just wanting to write down every funny thing that happened so that I wouldn't forget it. But, like, there's that one moment where he gets reminded that he's a virgin because there's like the guy dressed as a cop.
Yes.
And the guy is like, like the sister's just like, like we released some witches and he lit the candle and he's a virgin. And this like big buff guy dressed as a cop like pulls him to the side. He's like, hey man, you really a virgin? And you're like, what the fuck is going on here?
What kind of a cop is this?
Yeah. It was,
Like, yeah, they're like 15 years old.
The Virgin Police.
yeah,
Police.
horny police.
Horny police, damn it.
It was really wild, and I thought it was hilarious, like, how the cat talked. Like, I know he's supposed to be, like, 1800s and shit, but, like, for some reason, I was like, he's not talking like a cat. Like...
Well, can I just to add to that? So the speaking of like Doug Jones being in stuff that you know of, the guy who, not the actor who plays Thackeray, but the voice actor who does the cat's voice is Haku from Spirited Away. If you watch the dubbed version, he
Yes.
also is Max in the Goofy movie.
Wait,
Had a
seriously?
crush on Max too.
He is.
That's why I had a crush.
There you go. And if you've played Skyrim, he has a lot of voices of characters in Skyrim.
God, I
so there you go.
Okay, so
Prolific voice
the
actor.
kid doesn't voice the cat?
No, it's
No.
different actors. The cat.
Isn't the kid? Is that Colin Hanks?
No, he's on like I think
No?
he's on some he's on like some
Cut this out. I don't want people hearing me
no
stupid like this.
he's on a really random show, like a serialized crime, like CSI something or other, or one of those things.
Anyway, sorry to tangent you, but I because I kept listening to the damn cat and I was like, that voice sounds super familiar, and then I was like, oh, it's Haku from Spirited Away.
That's bonkers.
That's so wild. Yeah, but like I thought it was really funny, and like I've only seen a couple of, honestly, like I didn't have Disney Channel, and so I didn't watch a lot of Disney Channel movies growing up. Like maybe like one or two, and they're all like, I sort of knew Disney Channel movies to be like pretty cheesy. And I mean, maybe I was just like stoned and this actually is really cheesy, but like I thought it was really funny, and also it's pretty dark sometimes. It's like it was kind of hilarious and also a little dark when she was like, ah, yes, my book. It was gifted to me by the devil himself, and it's bound in human skin. And I was like, shit, girl.
Yeah, so I'll be honest, this was my first time watching it for this podcast, and it did not really go for me. But I think, Nia, I agree with your point, because like for me, my touchstone, this is the Halloween spooky movie I watch every year, is The Nightmare Before Christmas, which is a movie that I objectively cannot. No, it's a Halloween movie.
Dude, that's a Christmas movie.
It's the Halloween holiday movie. You can go either way, or you can go both. It's just whatever you want to do. But like that one, I can't objectively like look at it as like is this a good movie or bad movie? Like I can't really quantify it in that way. And so I feel like with this one, it's very much like under that. Like it's a difficult movie to like sit there, especially now, and like assess like as a movie, because I'll be honest, if you do it that way, it's a pretty shitty movie. But I can understand a lot of the nostalgia built around it. I mean, the guy who directed it, Kenny Ortega, is the director of the High School Musical movies and a number of other like Disney Channel original movies. And so I feel like, as you said, like there is this soft spot for just, not all of them, but a lot of the Disney Channel original movies like High School Musical and Halloween Town, and we can sit here and just name a gazillion of them. But it's, this guy seems to be kind of the, one of the figureheads of those types of movies. And so with that being said, I can understand, I was thinking before we did, recorded, what about this movie strikes so much nostalgia with folks. And I think that's probably the best reasoning, is that it just kind of, it seems like the ground zero for a lot of the nostalgia movies for people in our age range.
That pure good Disney vibe.
So
nothing hurt back then.
Yeah.
It was easier. Life was easier.
I feel like
Life was easier, and all of these things, like, they are full of, I'm thinking of like High School Musical, and also this guy is in charge of the Descendants, which is basically Monster High, but it's Disney, and it is huge right now. And so they're dramatic, but not like actual real life drama. It's the kind of like silly relationship drama that we all want a little bit Disney-fied.
So, like, something that I thought was sort of interesting about this movie was, like, when I was watching it at first, like, when you're first introduced to the Max character, and he makes this like really kind of like cringy entrance. He's like, what does he say?
He says Halloween was invented by the candy factories to like sell Halloween cards, and capitalism like made Halloween.
Yeah, and then she just like owns him in front of the class, and he's like, well, in case Jimi Hendrix shows up, ha 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 ha, and like hands her his number or whatever, and you're just like, oh my god, dude. And it's just like,
and then she hands it back.
I know.
I love that.
But just like the whole thing about him, he's like a new student from California, and they just do like every single California cliche, which at first I was like, wow, they're just really going for it. But then they like keep it consistent with like the parents too, and it was actually really hilarious. I thought the way that like when he comes in, what does the dad say? Oh yeah, he like comes in from school, and those guys have just like stolen his shoes. And he like comes in and runs upstairs because he's pissed off, and his mom's like, he wasn't wearing any shoes, and his dad's like, I don't know, it must be some protest thing. And it's just like fucking killing it with the just like elevating the cliche to the next level. I loved it.
You're also forgetting the wonderful line, which is, what are you dressed up as? And Max says, a rap singer, to which his dad replies, oh, that hat's got to be a little bit sideways. And then like moves his head over. And I was like, God damn, white people.
It was really good.
I like how Max just is tie-dye shirt. I don't think he's wearing a jacket. Everybody's wearing black and orange or with some kind of jacket.
He's from California, he's just different.
He's built different.
He's just different.
I feel like, though, regardless of literally every other character in this movie, I feel like the main part of this, though, is the three witches, Bette Midler, what's the Sarah Jessica Parker and Kathy Najimy. Like those three, I feel like that's kind of, when people talk about Hocus Pocus, that's what they're kind of focused on. And I'll admit that like Bette Midler, you can tell, as she said, this is one of my favorite roles, but you can also tell just through her performance, like she's having the time of her life with this thing. I mean, for y'all, what sticks out about these performances from the three witches?
I need to say, first of all, the I Put a Spell on You from Bette Midler was just so perfect. Yeah, and Bette Midler, I mean, like, is a powerhouse. Like, she could do anything, and she's the perfect villainous witch without going too far into like the literal like the witch territory. And I just love how they're three distinct
Personalities, yeah.
witches.
It's like completely different.
Yeah, they're three distinct.
Stylistically, size-wise, everything. There's some body diversity there, which is very nice.
Yes, and I love how it's like the conniving one, like the leader, and then like the silly, goofy one, and then like the pretty, ditzy one. And I just have never seen that before in a portrayal of a witch, I guess. But it was just funny. It was just great. I love the costume. It was such a perfect like '90s moment there.
I really felt like Sarah Jessica Parker was kind of like undercover heat, like as far as like comedy goes. I felt like I laughed more at what she said and like more what Catherine Najimy said. Like when Sarah Jessica Parker, or when her character Sarah Sanderson, when Sarah Sanderson is sitting on the bus driver's lap, like that bus driver is just in love with her, and she's sitting on his lap.
Oh my God.
He's letting her steer the bus, and she's honking the horn. And when they get off, she's like, "Oh, I have to go." And he's like, "No, you could stay." And she goes, "Thou wouldst hate me in the morning," because she's going to be like ugly. And the guy goes, "No, I wouldn't." Like, she sets him up for that. She, like, they're so cute. She's so funny, like yelling amok, 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 amok.
Amok.
So
Yes.
cute, and like definitely very ditzy, definitely like, a hot, pretty girl, but like also very funny, like not just ditzy in like an annoying way, like ditzy in a very like funny and clever way. Because I mean, like, she got her sisters hanged. She yelled out, "We're sucking the lives out of innocent children." Like, girl, read the room. Like, we're trying to keep that undercover.
I think it was mentioned before, but like that's one of the things that is kind of striking about this movie is that it doesn't really tamp down on, like, it doesn't go like dark, but it also like threads the line a little bit. Like, it's not super pacified. Like, there's the whole plot of it is these three witches are like, we're gonna kidnap and kill some kids, and you're like,
Yeah,
oh
like,
Jesus!
some
Like,
fucked up stuff
in the
happens.
age of QAnon, that seems like a questionable decision, but here we are. And so I respected that about it, because it's just it really does like lean into just the the most witch qualities of these three witches.
They're bad. Like, they curse the parents to dance until they die of, I guess, exhaustion and dehydration. Like, they don't care. They want what they want, and they want to be young and beautiful forever. So parents are dead, kids are dead. That's scary.
But it's also like funny and cute, because it's just like me and my sisters trying to get young.
It has those fairy tale qualities where you're supposed to learn something or face the consequences.
Yeah, the kind of modern example I was thinking about was the Leica Studios movie Paranorman. I mean,
Yeah.
I'll be honest, I would prefer to watch Paranorman over
love
this,
that.
but
Yeah.
but they both have very similar storylines where it's kind of melding like this the 16th 17th century witchcraft, where it molds like a storyline, a narrative from there, and brings it into present day. Like, I feel like those are both they're both kind of going along the same narrative path. But that's what I was thinking about while watching this.
Paranorman has stuck with me for a long, long time. I really enjoyed that movie.
Super good.
One thing that I thought was really strange in this movie, but I mean, was it just me, but were the brother and sister relationships just like weird?
I mean, like, maybe. I mean, when Danny was like pretending to be Allison, that was like, I know she was just being like a playful little kid, but that was
It was a decision.
Yeah, that was a choice. I'm Allison. kiss me, I'm Allison. Like, that's...
I feel like that's just kidding
Um,
around with your sibling, though. Like, teasing.
but, like...
Yeah. I just like at the end when I don't know, I guess it's just like funny because like the cat who is like a boy, you know, he's been stuck as a cat for like over 300 years. So like I guess I just thought he would talk more like a 300-year-old cat and like less like a little boy who like just lost his sister like yesterday. Although I guess wait, sorry, I just like got confused and was like, was he gone with the candle and then the candle bring him back? But no, he had been alive that whole time.
No, he was chilling for 300 years.
Yeah, that's insane. Like, I just, like, the way that he's like, man, protect your sister. Like, she's the most precious thing in the world, you know? And then at the end, he prances off into the sunset with his little sister. And it's like, man, like, I know that it must have been really, like, traumatic for you to lose your little sister and everything, but, like...
Be a cat for 300 years.
If I were a cat for 300 years, I would be like, man, fuck my sister, like, I've been a cat for 300 years.
Let's go
like,
get drunk.
Let me die. Let's go get drunk and let me die already. Yeah, the way he was like, man, I thought I'd work that time. You just, like, hear the despair in him.
When he gets hit by the bus and deflates in the middle.
Under the bus. Throw himself under the bus.
Also, in the beginning section, when it's, like, the 18th century or whatever,
Jesus.
whenever he turns into a cat and he goes and tries to, like... meow at his dad, and his dad just kicks him away. He's like, away, beast.
I also like just like how immediate like the movie opens really well. Just that whole opening sequence that's set, you know, back when like the whole curse and everything happens. I felt that it is really successful in the way it just kind of completely tosses you into like this folklore. I also like that they like steal the sister and like run off into the woods. And it takes them forever to finally like get to the witch's house. And I'm like, I don't know. It seemed like it was just like a little beyond the trees. Like it wasn't like a whole path. It was, but I don't. Yeah, I enjoyed that. It really did like not tamp down a lot of it like really leaned into the witches thing, which I feel like is, you know, as much as it kind of can feel like a Disney Channel movie, which is, you know, not always my favorite thing. I do respect it for doing that, because I don't feel like if this was made today, or even if they make like the sequel that they keep saying that they're going to be making, I don't feel like it's gonna have like that little edge it kind of had. Even like the zombie character and things of that nature like kind of have this little bit of an edge to them that feels a little bit outside the lines of like what a typical Disney movie today would look like. And so I think it does kind of stand a little bit ahead of recent stuff. With both as the two Hocus Pocus fans, would you like to see a sequel as they keep talking about?
No, I really wouldn't. Yeah, I'm still just like thinking about what you said, and I like definitely agree. There's no way they could toe the same sort of line. People aren't scared by the same things anymore. Like, I was terrified when Billy Butcherson like rose out of his grave, and then like him chasing after Max, and
no,
like that was all really scary for me. So like, I don't think anything like that would ever scare like a Zoomer. Like, wouldn't have the same effect.
Oh yeah, no, I feel like the purity. Yeah, the purity. I don't think you can duplicate, and I don't think you should duplicate. I think that we should just let it lie, let it be what it is, let it like be a I guess marker of time going forward.
Yeah, well, Well, I mean, I think in terms of like, it is very much like this nostalgia movie. So it's like, no, it's not going to cross over necessarily to a different generation because it's so like beholden to the millennial generation. But also, I don't think like I don't see Disney making a movie so ripe with like like what we're describing, like the amount of innuendo or even like just the witch, like the fact that it's that people are like really like shelling out to go see this today with like the amount of like witchcraft talk. I'm like, I feel like that's not, you're gonna have like these like this whole like strange family audience thing that they're like, oh, we can't have like these three witch characters just openly talking about like Satanism as much as they do in this movie, especially like in a Disney product. Like I just don't see the studio allowing any of that to happen, even though that seems like trivial. I'm like, I don't see that
totally agree
happening
with
in
that.
like a modern Disney movie.
And also the themes of like protecting your siblings, I feel like is just not even remotely on the radar of what's going on. And I feel like that's the whole point of the movie.
They wouldn't have the weird brother sister relationship to creep Ash out.
Yeah, I mean, it was just funny because I felt like there were so many weird vibes to me in the movie. Like, I feel like maybe that's just the whole thing about like I didn't know how old these characters were. Like, how old was Max and like Allison?
Like 15.
Yeah, it was just funny. It was just funny. They like, the first thing that the sister says is like, "Oh, Allison, he likes your yabos." And I was like, "What?"
Oh,
I was like, if you were a dude, you would just like not recover from that. And he's just like, "Hey, do you want to go to a graveyard?" And it's just like, dude,
Jesus.
like my guy is way too horny. And then they spend the night together. I was like, whoa.
Risque.
What's
I mean,
going
that dude's got a drum set. Did you not see him when he like did his little drum routine where it was
listen, yes. Yeah. I also
They had to hire someone to teach him that little riff there, that drum fill.
I also loved when after the sister told the bully guys to like fuck off, Max was like, "You just embarrassed me in front of all the guys at school." And it was just like, okay, like she's your little sister, dude. Like, calm down.
And also, that guy's referring to himself as Ice. So
Oh
like,
my
don't feel too bad.
Yeah.
We're talking about him.
Yeah, these are the guys you need to worry about. Max from California.
That's so funny.
Like,
I kind of like, yeah, the brother-sister relationship at times was weird, but like there were like moments of like just like wholesome goodness, like where he apologizes to her for being mean, and when they go trick-or-treating at like what turned out to be Allison's house, like they're sort of doing like a candy store.
oh, that was wild.
I thought that was really cute. And I have an older brother, and like I would watch Hocus Pocus, and like part of me would kind of wish for like that sort of a relationship, like just that, like the like brother apologizing, and then like the two of us just being like goofy, sweet, and like friends. I'm not saying that like my brother and I are not friends, and this isn't me like talking about my family drama, but like seeing that and you're like, oh, that's really cool. Like they're a older brother and younger sister combo. Like I can relate to this, and I feel like I'm Danny. So then it feels a little more powerful. Like, oh, I'm fighting witches on Halloween with my brother. I can't wait.
Yeah, I definitely feel that. Speaking as someone that doesn't have any siblings, I always imagined that was like what having siblings was, especially just because there's a lot of movies in the same kind of way where it's like you be nice to your fucking little sister or your little brother or else like they're going to die or something like that.
Yes.
And so I guess I just didn't pick up on like the weird vibes from it because it's like I thought you were supposed to like be kind and like sweet and like nice with your sibling. I don't know.
I guess so. And clearly, according to Ash, they're very, very kind to one another. A little too kind.
Yo, don't insinuate. Don't insinuate.
Okay.
Any final thoughts before we wrap up?
The devil scene, sick. The party, I want to get in there.
No, the scene with Penny and Gary Marshall where like where he's the devil and she's Medusa because the snakes in her hair. I thought that was
amazing.
I was kind of like
that plays. See, that plays into the whole like weird brother sister thing because they're brother and sister and they play a married couple in this movie. But that's a whole,
Oh, whoa.
Oh.
It's actually a
can of
conspiracy.
worms.
Yikers on that.
Opened up something. Sorry.
We're about to get some emails from Disney, I think.
I'll gladly take those. Sorry I interrupted you though.
Oh no, I mean I just have always wanted to make a Halloween costume as beautiful and eclectic as these freaking costumes in this movie, and I don't think I'll ever attain that. So it's just pining.
Great set design. Like the witch's hut and stuff. Like, yeah.
The hut, the house.
Nice. Well, I guess it's in theaters if you want to go brave the pandemic to go see Hocus Pocus, which is probably widely available in other streaming platforms. At the movie theater, it's there. So check it out there. All right, well, that will wrap up this episode of Cinematary. You can find us on Facebook at facebook.com/Cinematary, on Twitter and Instagram at handle @Cinematary, and on Letterboxd at letterboxd.com/Cinematary, where we post all the movies that we talked about in this episode. Also, thank you to our patrons, patreon.com/Cinematary. We have some new options up there if you would like to support us. Thank you to Cam, Chad Newsom, Christina Daughtry, Cindy Roberts, Harry Eskin, Hell Yeah, Small World, Joe Jordan, Maggie, Ron Hayes, the kittiest of kittens, Titus Arthur, Tyler Chandler, and Whitney Rio Ross. Thank you so much for your patronage. Next week, we will be continuing our Horror for Kids series with 1998 Scooby-Doo on Zombie Island. And we're going to be joined by a massive Scooby-Doo fan. We're going to be joined by another scholar, I think, Logan Kinney. So it should be a fun one.
Hell yeah.
So fun.
And be sure to we're still in spooky season, so we had Beetlejuice last week, and then we had the Oz duo of Wizard of Oz and Return to Oz for this series so far. So please head back and listen to those. You can find them on cinematary.com. But thank you guys for listening. We will see you next week.